the biggest difference between training and racing in terms of challenge is that outcomes end up mattering a lot more in races. And I am wired, or I've learned at least, to be very process oriented. And so in training, that means that I accept whatever my current fitness is and I train at that level, and then I build off that and I get stronger, and then the next time I'm doing a similar workout, I'm running just a little bit faster, and I'm kind of continually climbing rungs of the ladder. And that approach really, it works also in racing. I mean, you have to adopt that mentality. That's the best way to rise up in the sport and to improve over season. But unfortunately, the Olympic trials, for example, are on a set date of the year, and it doesn't matter where you are in your process, and only the top 3 make it to the Olympics that day. And so that's kind of the big balancing act of being process oriented, but then realizing at the same time that at certain times the outcome is what matters.
So when the outcome does matter, and you're very good at being process oriented, how do you balance that? Like, how do you account for the fact that the outcome matters? Does it change your focus at all, or?
It changes the race strategy a little bit. Certainly, like trying to run a season best or a PR time in a championship setting goes out the window. All that matters is who else I'm beating in the field, and am I going to finish on the podium that day. But otherwise, I try to just adopt the process mentality, and bring it into the race. So if we're halfway through the race and I'm sitting in a pack and I'm in 6th place, then I try to just focus on moving to 5th place in that moment, and allowing myself to work my way through the race in kind of that process mentality, but always knowing that at the end of the day it has to be top 3.
That's an interesting, that's actually just great, like seeing where you're at, picking something very process oriented and doable in the moment, and then probably picking something else, and then picking something else, and then picking something else, and then I guess making a decision when you get to a certain point in the race, when you have like a criteria of top 3. Do you have a plan for that, or is that like an instinctive decision?
It's I think you take it as far as you possibly can, and I guess what I tell myself is that if I do that and I execute the best race I have in me, and I wind up in 4th, then that, I still have to be proud of the effort. I got to the Olympic trials in June of the next year, just like determined to kind of like fulfill this wish he, put in me, in the 10,000, and I'd had a good year. Things were going really well for me. I gained a lot of momentum after having that injury the year before, and I felt fit and I felt ready, and so I went to the Olympic trials in the 10,000, and 3 miles in, I was clipped from behind and my shoe came off. So I pulled over, and my shoe was tied really tightly because I worry about things like having your shoes come untied. So I couldn't just slip back on really easily. I had to actually sit down on the track, yank it all the way back on, and by the time I got up and started running again, the leaders were really far ahead. And so I ran actually 2 more miles, hoping that I might pick some people off and work my way back up to them. But eventually I realized that the gap was too great and I wasn't going to be able to make it. So I dropped out of the race. And then I got out of the mix zone, and I looked at Drew and I was like, what are we going to do? It felt like this huge moment of crisis. And then Drew said, you're going to get in the ice bath, and then you're going to eat a meal, and you're going to recover, and you're going to come back in the 5,000. And so, it was kind of seemed like this big existential, oh no, the world's ending, and then Drew brought it right back down to no, what are we going to do in this moment, and what we can control right now. And so that's what I did. I got in the ice bath, and then I went and got a meal, and I surrounded myself with family, and just, enjoyed the rest of the Olympic trials until the 5,000 came around. And I ended up finishing 3rd in the 5,000 and making the team in the 5,000.